After an overtime win in Game 2 of the preseason, Vancouver's newest stars shine brightly as further proof that we are seeing a much better Canucks team this season than last year. And two more tough cuts from the roster send some players packing, having fans wondering if one of them was a draft bust. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any updates surrounding the Canucks as we trudge on through the preseason. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is Game 2 overtime thriller. If you're watching the game last night, you would know that the Canucks defeated the Calgary Flames 4-3 in overtime in our second preseason game, dominating the shots on goal once again with the 32-19 shots on goal score. And when you look at the scoring as a whole, Max Sasson, who stepped up like we hoped he would in his second straight preseason game, scoring the first goal with an assist by Kiefer Sherwood. And then in the second period, you had Jake DeBrusk getting his first of the night with assist by Vinny Desharnais and Quinn Hughes. So the new guys were definitely getting involved. And then, of course, there was the big one. There was the Daniel Sprong just dirty dangling goal where he undressed the entire Calgary defense as if it was the All-Star game and they weren't even trying, and just let him walk in with a beautiful goal. And then Jake DeBrusk with the overtime winner with the assist from Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes. It was a great team effort all around. These new guys really showed up and showed out. I know it's the preseason, we keep saying that. However, these guys are just showing up consistently and they're making a case for themselves as to why this Vancouver Canucks team did in fact get much better rather than weaker like some people were saying, and these new additions are going to be huge. And looking at the lineups from last night, there were some changes, some new faces, some other ones that did play really well as well. You had Filip Hronek, who we're going to touch on in a minute, Kiefer Sherwood playing great games, paired with Max Sasson. So that third line was really an underdog pairing. Jiri Patero did play a great game in net as well. He made some really nice saves. You had Carson Soucy, who was just a tone setter throughout this entire preseason, as well as Vinny Desharnais. Those two are really looking like a really good defensive pairing where those guys could be a pair of Bash brothers if they wanted to just rock them on a two-person line. We know Hronek didn't play as well. We had Juleson and Jet Wu as well. We're going to get to Wu later on in this episode. But again, it was a pretty solid game by the Canucks. Again, it was a much higher scoring game than the one against the Kraken. But again, the big thing is that the new guys showed up and showed out. And when looking at the takeaways from the game that Canucks Army had up there, Quinn Hughes was clearly a step above everyone else tonight. It was almost like watching a guy just undress people in beer league hockey. Kiefer Sherwood, hoping to continue to see him more opportunities. Carson Soucy stood out, and obviously Daniel Sprong was the big one. Phil Giuseppe also had a pretty strong game. He's going into this season wanting to have a better season than he did last year. He had a solid year last year, but he was somebody who definitely could benefit from a much better season like everyone could, and I think he's in a position to do so and is definitely motivated to do so. He's got that daddy strength that people were talking about last season where he had the baby and came into that playoff game just fired up and showed out. What do you guys think about last night's game? Were you guys watching it? Are you excited going forward through this preseason? What do you guys think of how the Canucks are looking so far? And with that, let's hop into the second topic of the day, which is the new kids on the block. As we initially mentioned earlier, the new guys showed up and showed out, and Tocchet spoke on a few of them after the game, specifically Sherwood and as well as Phil Giuseppe, who we know he's not a new guy, but again, he's mentioned with Sherwood, so we paired him with them together. He said, yeah, I thought there was some good individual efforts from some guys like Sherwood. Giuseppe came into camp really good shape, and you can tell they pushed the pace for what we're looking for. And he elaborated further when asked about putting Sherwood on the penalty kill. Well, he's got a good stick, he's got good speed, and he's not scared. Those are pretty good attributes as a penalty killer. He'll block a shot, but I think we can teach him some stuff. I think he killed a little bit in Nashville in the playoffs. I think a couple of minutes in the series, I'd like to try and utilize that speed and tenacity. We know that he is just a problem for teams from a physical standpoint. So if you can have him out there on the penalty kill, like Nashville utilized him a little bit last season, where he was fifth amongst the Predators skaters, logging a total of 22.54 penalty kill time, an average of 20 seconds per game. In the sixth opening round playoff series against the Canucks, he saw 2.43 on the penalty kill, 27 seconds a game. So it definitely went up in the postseason. And we saw that his presence on the penalty kill for Nashville was just simply a problem for Vancouver. They had a lot to deal with and like a lot to have to handle with him being a thorn in their hip. He was a problem just time in and time out, and Vancouver, that's why Vancouver went out and got him. That's why Quinn Hughes advocated for them to go get him, and that's why they want him on this team on a line where he's following up Dakota Joshua when he's back fully healthy, where guys are going to get caught in transition and he's going to make them pay, and it's going to be amazing to watch. And then as well on Kiefer Sherwood, he talked on his penalty kill hopes, where Tocchet talked on utilizing utilizing him there. And Sherwood definitely expresses a desire to play on the penalty kill unit. It's something that he's been trying to earn his way onto. Second half of the penalty, got in there a little bit, maybe the last 20 or 30 seconds of the kill when guys start to get tired. I feel like we can use a spark and kind of turn it the other way. We just said that as far as a physical standpoint that he can do that. Use that momentum in the crowd to give us a boost once we finish it off. I think it's a part of my game, and I want to continue to grow that as a part of my identity and help the team feed off a big kill like that. At different levels, sometimes coaches put you in different situations. Sometimes I've been on more of the power play. Here I want to be on the PK, and I want the fellas to feed off that energy and try to turn some momentum. And this is a guy who hasn't scored a shorthanded goal at all in his career. He knows that he has to get on the board in that sense, and he knows that he can contribute in that sense. He knows that on the power play he's useful, but he knows that he can be useful on the penalty kill. And having him express that desire is just great to see, especially when he's somebody who hasn't gotten too much experience on it, but knows that if he can play within this Tocchet system, he knows that every system is different and how he's been utilized in those different systems. And he recognizes that he's in a system now where his talents on the penalty kill can be utilized, not only from a physical standpoint, from also what he can do with the puck. He nearly scored his first short-handed goal in this game alone. He saw the puck was coming, tried to get a stick on it, tried to use his speed, knew the D was on him, so I tried to shield it. Probably shouldn't have went one-handed. That's not in my arsenal. I tried to shield him, and I thought that would be much speed. I might be able to pull him over, but probably better off just shooting it next time. And again, he almost got his first short-handed goal, and he knows that he's in a position to do more with that. This is only the preseason, so if he's already making an effort and making a splash on the penalty kill in that aspect, who's to say that he can't be on this penalty kill unit going forward in the regular season? He's already impressed Tocchet. Tocchet can acknowledge his play on the penalty kill. So if he can continue that into the regular season, I think we could see Sherwood find a spot for himself on this penalty kill unit. That'll be awesome to see. Maybe you pair him with Dakota Joshua and have a Bash Brothers penalty kill unit. That'll be awesome to see. But what do you guys think down below? Let us know what you guys think of Sherwood. But another player that Tocchet did touch on as far as the new kids on the block was Daniel Sprong. He's got a knack for doing that stuff, talking about the play, the big goal that he had. He can skate, so there's a lot of things we can work with to make him really complete. But yeah, that's obviously a hell of a goal. And as far as making him that more complete player, Sprong himself even talked about the defensive plays and playing with these line mates in the preseason. During training camp, we talked about the little plays. Even today in the third, there was one I chipped out, and we just talked that I probably should have stayed on the ice there. I think in general, with the two guys today, his line mates being Arshdeep Bains and Atu Ratu, we didn't give up much defensively, so I was kind of more focused on that. I know the offense is going to be there, and this is a guy where Sprong's offense is going to be his bread and butter. That's what he's bringing to this team. So if he's acknowledging that he wants to refine his tools as far as a defensive standpoint, so if this is the preseason where he can try those things and not try and just make an impact on the score sheet when the goals don't ultimately matter, and he's just working on refining those defensive skills and working with these players that could be future line mates of his, I think that bodes well as far as how Sprong is fitting into this Tocchet system and how he's fitting in to Vancouver and just trying to be a multi-versatile player where he has these different weapons in his arsenal. But talking about his dangling goal, he felt like Quinn Hughes out there, a little bit of dancing, but no time was running down. I had speed, then made the move. That's part of my game. Really aggressive off the rush and got an opportunity to show that at the end. And speaking of Quinn Hughes, he did talk on just playing with Quinn Hughes. You see him walk around the blue line, spinning away from defenders. I was out there a couple times with him and just watched stand there. You know, he's a Norris winner for a reason. It's only preseason, but he looked great out there. Tonight, he has high hopes for himself, and I'm sure the team does too. So it's going to be exciting to watch him all season. And just in general, just speaking on being in Vancouver as well, it's fun. I've always played against Canadian teams, so now being on the other side of it, you kind of realize how loud they are for you. So it was nice to play here and get the first one out of the way. And even Tocchet talked about that, how the crowd was just there. The energy was there, whether it was Penticton, Abbotsford, or when they go back to Vancouver, the crowd is always going to be there. So Sprong just being molded into this Vancouver culture, not only from just being with Quinn Hughes, being with the team, but also how he just wants to be a better player, not just focused on just being a one-dimensional player or just sticking to his game. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's just in the department of, okay, it ain't broke, but I want to continue to improve it. That's the key with Sprong heading forward, and that's what we wanted to bring to this Vancouver team. So let us know what you guys think down below. What do you think about Sherwood going on the penalty kill? What do you think about Sprong as a player, and what do you guys think of these new guys? I know we didn't talk about Jake DeBrusk very much, but I know we're going to be talking talking about him a lot this season as far as a goal scorer. That's what we brought him here for, and we're going to see a lot of that. But with that, it's going to take us into our third topic of the day, which is more tough cuts. And we see here in a tweet from the Vancouver Canucks themselves, General Manager Patrik Allvin announced today that defenseman Jet Wu and Guillaume Brisebois have been placed on waivers for the purpose of assignment to Abbotsford. Yes, this does come at a tough time where we're going to see some guys get cut, and one of them, unfortunately, was Jet Wu. This is one who is a fan favorite. People really like him. They wanted to see more of him in Vancouver, or making that jump to Vancouver. However, when looking at his stats in Abbotsford and looking at what he was able to do in this preseason, it's not looking very likely that he will make that splash in the Vancouver roster, at least for a while. So he is kind of looking like one of these potential draft busts that Vancouver is in danger of having on their resume. Nobody wants to have a draft bust, but again, if the production is not there, that's going to be very difficult to overcome. And as well as the second one, Guillaume Brisebois, he's been in and out with the Canucks and with the Abbotsford Canucks as well, bouncing around. And with this one, I don't know what more they're going to do with him. I don't know what more you can do with him from a developmental standpoint. He's 27 years old, so he's already past the cusp of just being a young star and hasn't made that splash on that Vancouver Canucks roster yet. So if he hasn't yet, when is he going to make that? And with Abbotsford just getting more and more loaded with these draft picks, yes, you want to have some older guys on the Abbotsford team, but they do have an older presence. So if you can have these guys that are just being pushed out by the young guys, you might want to just see what you can get for him. Maybe some future considerations or some draft picks. Would be interesting to see them make some moves in Abbotsford this season. We're going to be covering all that. But what do you guys think of the cuts down below? What do you guys think about Jet Wu being placed on waivers, as well as Guillaume Brisebois? Love to hear what you guys have to say. However, that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. If you want to leave a comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends. It is free to subscribe, so go ahead and click that subscribe button. But that's going to do it for this episode. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.